I'm Otto Bluntzer. I'm the president and what we call Forge Master of the Goliad Forge. We're going to be making a few nails look like this. This, of course, is a little bigger than a nail. We'll call that a spike. But you can make nails all the way down to the size of a tack. They used these a lot in the colonial period in the olden days for upholstering furniture. They still do some of that today. There is one major piece of equipment primarily dedicated to making nails. We're going to make a nail or two now. There's a typical nail, fairly good size one. But to make that nail, we need something like this. It's a little too small. Ah, yes. This is called a nail header. Looking right here, that's the first thing we need. Now, to begin with, let's just start with, well, I'm going to start with some scrap. Here's some scrap that came from a windmill, a water pump, what we call sucker rod. That's what we're going to forge to make our first nail. Even though this is round, we're going to make it square and we're going to draw it out. This is a charcoal or blacksmith forge, and I'm going to drop some charcoal in here that we're going to be using. Put that aside. And I need to get down here where I can fire up this charcoal a little bit. There we go. Now I put some scrap paper down at the bottom of this, lit it, and I'm going to put apply a little bit of air to this. Now we're already reaching temperatures in this fire that will actually melt mild steel. I will show you now how we heat the metal up. Let's see if this will hold. Yeah, a pair of our homemade tongs, that'll do fine. Already we see a glow, but it's not quite ready. Look at the heat in that, especially hot right there. Very first step. I'm going to smooth that out a little bit on the face of the anvil. This is called the horn of the anvil. When I bounce the hammer here, that's two things are happening. That's rest time for my shoulder. It's a lot easier if I let it rest for a second, and it gives me time to think. What am I going to do next? Every lick counts. If you don't have a purpose for a particular stroke, you shouldn't be hammering. Okay, we are beyond the point where I should be actually hammering because there's no more glow to the metal. It's getting too cold. Now, to speed this up very quickly, I'm going to use a modern tool. Came along after electricity. I'm going to use a torch to heat this up. I'll hold this steady by keeping my arms in close to me. If I get it too hot, I'll show you right at the tip. Watch when the sparks, see the sparks begin to jump off? I'm damaging the metal. I'm taking carbon out of it, and that actually ruins the metal. So I don't want to heat that anymore. Now we have a tendency to heat too much. An inch, inch and a half of metal is all we need to work with. Hang this up, go back to the anvil. Now sometimes when we're drawing this out to square, we'll move the metal, turn it quarter turn or 90 degrees. I want to test something here. Yes, this is actually long enough. I have better control. On second thought, that's a miniature slack tub. Cools the metal. That's ready to go. I'm going to reheat. I want the tip of that flame to lick the metal. Just touch it. Most efficient way to get the temperature up to where you want it. Back to the anvil. I'm going to smooth it out. Needs a little more that way. Now we're going to move back over to the first table where we were, and I'm going to do the remainder of the work in that area. For this size, yes, that'll make a short nail. Now I want to cut it off right there. One good lick. That has marked it for me. I'm now going to heat that area. I'm not going to cut this off completely. I'm going to nick it around the outside, the perimeter, the outside of the metal, heat it all the way around. Spinning it to do that. I see my nick there. I'll put that back on the cutter and turn it a little bit. I'm pretty far through. Any more and it will drop off for me. Now I'll put that in the nail header and I will bend this off. Put that out of my way. I'm going to tap this lightly. I'm going to go to a lighter hammer, a ball, what we call a ball peen hammer. Going to reheat. I'm now going to upset that piece of metal. Upsetting means that I'm going to hit it and I'm going to make it fat. I'm going to make it thick. I'm going to start forging this down to make a nail head. Just rest it on here. or in the pritchel or in the hardy hole of the anvil if you want to. You can see the head beginning to form. Now I'm going to walk around or turn this. It maybe wants to lean that away a little bit, so I'm going to draw it back. When I strike with a hammer from here, I'm always pulling this way. So I'll walk around like this. That'll pull it back this way. I definitely need to move it back to me. So reheat it down here. I'll go ahead and finish it. Over towards the west, towards the east, towards the north, and towards the south. With one strike in the center, and there is the head complete. Wow. I'm going to take that, give it a light tap, and there's the nail. Okay, we'll drop that off of here. Okay, if you see any discrepancy in shape or size, if it's not straight, all you have to do is to quickly pick it up with a pair of tongs. And we make all of these tongs in the shop. Almost all the tongs we have. I'll set this down. I see there's a little curve this way. So I'm going to put that down like this. Almost. Well, I can clean up that head if you want to reshape it any. Now that's still a little bit hot, so I'm not going to put it on the paper. We'll probably see a little bit of smoke. But I will put it down here on the table where you can see it. Now, let's have some fun. I'm going to take a piece of rebar. Now this is hard metal. Very, very tough. We're going to heat it and do the same thing, only it's going to look more like this. Maybe not quite that big, but we're going to try to make a large, let's say, spike. I'm going to go ahead and put this in, add some charcoal around it, and when I begin to crank this air, if I don't see sparks, yeah, it's working. Because sometimes it can plug up. We have to tend the fire. We take a poker and open it up, but that's beautiful. Just the way we want it. I'm going to reach over here, grab a little bit of charcoal. I can go ahead and put that piece there.
The bellows of the Spanish time, would they be?
The bellows actually, before the 1750s, the bellows that I made are out in storage right now. But I donated a pair of bellows to La Bahia. It's the real thing. And it's from here to that tank, about 8 foot long. And you pump it up and down. And on each stroke, whether it's up or down, it gives you air both ways. This actually came after the 1700s. This came more with the industrial age. So I'll blow some air through here. This is like a vacuum cleaner in reverse. Fan blades pump the air. The air comes out right there. Square. Turn it 90 degrees. Quarter circle. I can do it a lot faster if I use this rounded end because that squeezes it out this way. I want to make that longer. Believe it or not, this tougher material, I'm going to have to put it right back in the forge. I'll clean it up a little bit, smooth it out. We'll bring this up rapidly. Won't take long. Okay, here we go. Back to the anvil. I'm going to work from this side. Cold. Not really. That's pushing about, 800-900 degrees at least. Because of the added heat, you may have noticed that I'm forging it out much more rapidly now. One more heat, and then we're going to try the nail header. I'm hitting in one spot, I'm moving the metal back to get the position of where I want the hammer to strike. I'm going to check now to see if it looks square. It appears to be square. It looks like a little more narrow here, so now, if you had a tub of water, you could hold this down and look at the reflection in the water. Instead, I use a mirror. I have a mirror up there. And if I want to see it this straight, I can look at a distance by holding it like this. And if you're in the right position, you could actually see that that is real straight. And that's so I'm not looking at this, I'm looking at the image in the mirror. Okay, with that, I'm happy. We're going to try this in the nail header now and see how much nail we're going to have sticking out. I'm happy with that. That's good. Now, I'm just going to heat it here. When that metal begins to look glassy, that's hot enough. You don't want to go much hotter than that. It's like it's flowing. That's because it is actually melting. Okay, back to the... There we go. I'm going to stop right there. The big nail header. Put it in there. Break it off. Put that down where you don't burn yourself. I'll drop this in here. Get it tight. I could do that on the anvil. It doesn't have to be done in here. Okay, now let's heat the head of that. Now let's take a look at it. It's doing pretty good. I think about the time I heat it from the top here, I can put the rose head on it. I'm moving my hammer forward so I don't have to walk over there. Get that away. Okay, this should come out of here. It will. There it is. Now, nails are only one of hundreds of items that blacksmiths make. In the olden days, anything that was made from metals was done by a blacksmith. Whether it's the fry pan, repair work on a stove, if they were lucky enough to buy a stove that had cast parts to it, etc. But horseshoes as an example. Let's take this out of here, let it cool. I like to let these cool slowly rather than quench them in water right away. It sets up, if you cool them too quickly, they're more likely to break. So with that, you may have questions. You can contact the Goliad Forge by going on the internet. Just enter the Goliad Forge and look around. There is a long address that we have, but there are a lot of pictures of other things that we do. Well, we've enjoyed this session with you in making nails and talking about blacksmithing. And anyone who wants to, they can come out and visit individually, with family, or with a group. All they have to do is find the phone number on the internet. It's on our site. Thanks again.